Story 1. Not having major debts outside of owning a home, no credit card debts or car payments, things of that nature. Having most of your things paid off is a luxury many don't have. Story 2. Remembering who people are, their names, their spouse's name, their children's names and ages, other personal details, and the last time they saw them is something I struggle with. I am a guy that reintroduces himself constantly, forgets people's names as soon as they say it, and completely blanks on everything else. This happens no matter how long I have known or worked with someone. I have learned to smile and nod a lot. Story 3. Friends. I have one who would complain about how she barely managed to find someone to hang out with that day because everyone else was busy. Meanwhile, I'm crying inside knowing full well this is the first time I'm hanging out with someone in the last 2 weeks. Story 4. I've been on Reddit for a few years now. Here's what I'd consider achievements to most Redditors. No anxiety, no mental health issues, people skills, a decent relationship with your parents, spouse, children, friends in real life, hobbies that aren't gaming or Reddit, having sex, that guy's wife, not having a poop knife, having never read The Swamps of Dagobah. Story 5. A family that teaches and prepares their children to survive on their own and helps in an emergency. Families that don't say, "Okay, you're 18, I didn't teach you anything, but you're an adult. Get out, we're done being a family. Bye." Story 6. Sobriety. Whatever day or hour you're on, you are amazing and doing something incredible. I'm so proud of you. The subreddit Stop Drinking saved my life. I will not drink with you today. Story 7. A functional, flexible back. A literal flex, heh. I largely took mine for granted until a week after my 40th birthday when a semi ran me over on my motorcycle. For spinal fractures later, among other things, and I now have the back of a hard-living 65-year-old. I'm still walking and still alive, so really can't complain. Didn't even need surgery on the back. But man, the back always hurts. Every second of every day. Some days worse than others. But it's always there. Can't bend the way I want to. Everything makes me stiff and sore. It's just like a constant annoyance in every single thing you do. If your back is something you're just not even aware of most days, be thankful and appreciate it while it lasts. When you do some hard work and it hurts a bit the next day, appreciate that that's a different enough thing that you notice it and that it'll fade in a few days. Story 8. I am considered super handy, to the point where I found out that one of my wife's friend's husbands told another one of my wife's friend's husbands, "You may be handy, but you'll never be as handy as that guy. I don't know, I just like to do stuff and I like to take the time to do it right." Both of my grandpas and my dad were handy. One was a farmer, the other was an aircraft mechanic, so I just grew up expecting to be able to just fix stuff. Story 9. Getting 2 days off work in a row. Having paid sick days. Being expected to take a vacation. Being able to take an extra day off or call in sick without worrying about your paycheck, even if you don't get paid time off. Story 10. Coordination involves individuals who not only learn to drive well, but also seek continual improvement. It includes people in trade jobs who handle 15-pound tools while perched on the side of a building or a big rig. Additionally, it features those who can keep pace with the drive-thru during the dinner rush at McDonald's, individuals who never spill things, and people who adeptly shift their weight or turn their bodies to avoid bumping into others in crowded spaces. Essentially, it's about individuals who are fully aware of their surroundings and in complete control of their physical bodies. Story 11. My coworker was complaining to me that her hot tub broke the other day and they had to get it fixed. We make $30,000 a year. I support myself and my disabled wife with that $30,000, while her husband makes $300,000 a year. Her problems are my dreams. Story 12. I bought some then relatively worthless Apple stock because I thought I'd be able to sell the stock certificate with the rainbow Apple logo on eBay when the company went out of business. My investment advisor just thinks I'm really clever. I've not corrected him. Story 13. As someone with severe social anxiety, people without it don't realize how good they have it. I have to mentally prepare myself to go to the grocery store, for heaven's sake. Story 14. Having a deep sense of inner peace and contentment is something many people possess but might not realize is a huge advantage. In a world where stress, anxiety, and constant comparison are common. Being genuinely at peace with oneself in life is a rare and powerful state. It reflects emotional intelligence, resilience, and self-awareness, all of which are incredibly valuable but often underappreciated. Those who have it might not flaunt it, but it's a significant asset that others can sense and admire. Story 15. Health. Feeling healthy and having energy throughout the day is important. I am diabetic and haven't experienced that in years, despite having a totally normal hemoglobin A1C. The insulin resistance is still making me feel so bad. Story 16. A huge privilege some people take for granted is having a loving family. Parents, grandparents, and starting a family, a wife and kids, man, that's the good stuff. Story 17. My girlfriend would say my ability to talk to strangers. I can start a conversation with pretty much anyone, and within a few minutes, they'll be telling me their deepest thoughts and feelings. I've had 3 separate people who, after meeting me a couple of times, told me I'd make a great cult leader. Story 18. I have to remind myself a lot that I am really lucky to have my parents cover my college costs. It just seems like it has always been a fundamental thing that parents paid for college. But now that I'm actually in college, I realize how untrue that is. Story 19. A voice people can hear even in a crowded room. People strain to hear me. I even tried vocal lessons to learn to project, but it's hard to do all the time. I envy low-pitched voices that project. Story 20. Counter space in their kitchen. I recently changed apartments and holy hell, I did not realize how much of a game changer actually being able to put stuff in my kitchen was. No more balancing things on the stovetop or in the sink. Story 21. I learned from my wife and from Reddit that apparently my ability to sleep easily is rare. Also, stress makes me sleepy, so if I am really stressed out, I just go to bed and sleep it off. Story 22. It all depends on who you are flexing on, I suppose. For some people, indoor plumbing is a huge flex. For others, it might be a good pair of shoes or a car or a house or a private jet. Story 23. Owning their home outright, my parents are 80% through their mortgage, haven't rented in 20 years, and really take for granted how messed up rent is in Ireland because they don't have to deal with it. It infuriates me when people who own their own homes don't realize the position they're in and the financial security they have over most of the house population, including renters and struggling mortgage payers. What makes it worse is their opinion can be, just hike up your bootstraps and save. I earn 14.50 euros an hour, and rent, car travel/maintenance, and food make up 60 to 80% of my budget, depending on how many weeks are between my monthly pay. That's before health payments to a loan I once had to take out to cover me until a pay rise in bills. You tell me how I'm supposed to save for a 10% down payment for a minimum 300,000 euro home, which is the low average here. Story 24. There was a man at my job who refused to retire. I don't think he meant to brag about it, but he had 2 pensions set up already. One from his military service and another from his old job as a postal service employee. He did not want to retire, he said, because he would get too bored at home. Keep in mind, he was saying this to a group of people who were desperate for hours, who did not have a pension or retirement plan already set up, let alone 2. Again, I don't think he meant to brag. He just didn't seem to understand that complaining to a bunch of 30 and 40-year-olds that you would get bored if you had nothing to do was probably not well received. Most of us were working 2 jobs already, and I think a lot of co-workers pulled back from him. The more he complained that our hours were being cut, the more he just refused to retire because he was hoping for a severance package. Story 25. My dad has the coolest DNA mutation I have ever heard of. Grossly, he hasn't brushed his teeth since he was a kid, since he claims the mint toothpaste takes his breath away. His teeth are strangely white and clean-looking. He doesn't have bad breath. He has never had a cavity. He lost his last baby tooth when he was around 50. An adult one took its place. My mom gets him to go to a dentist once a year for an exam and a cleaning. His teeth are somehow perfect. His diet is mostly cola and junk food. I don't understand it. Story 26. Apparently, buying a new car in cash. I was never big on cars, so I had no clue all these BMWs, Audis, and Porsches everyone flexes with are not really theirs. They pay them off monthly with like 6% interest. Story 27. The ability to get physically comfortable in tight conditions for hours is remarkable. I saw my 15-year-old nephew in the third row of a sport utility vehicle that was packed to the gills, and he was back there for more than 3 hours with no complaints. Story 28. The ability to bounce back from setbacks and adapt to change is a significant asset. It shows strength and flexibility, traits that are crucial for overcoming challenges. Story 29. Having a close-knit group of supportive friends and a strong social network can be a huge advantage. It often reflects interpersonal skills and the ability to build and maintain meaningful relationships. Story 30. Physical health. No chronic diseases. No chronic pain or fatigue. Living with an incurable chronic disease like multiple sclerosis has made me notice how much most people take their own physical health for granted. I don't blame them though. It's not really something the average person would even think about until they don't have it anymore. Story 31. A job that pays 6 digits. I swear I see more people talk about how they have it rough with their full Apple suite of products, living in one of the most expensive and often lively places in the world, and DoorDash meals with 6-figure salaries than I see minimum wage workers complain. Story 32. Being multilingual or having a deep understanding of multiple cultures can be an amazing asset. It allows for rich interpersonal connections and can open doors professionally and personally.